1978, when I was 14, I was kicked out of most high schools in the district, and I wasn't going to school. I was hanging out downtown, not living at home, and I needed to go to school. So I heard about GAP, and I got on the waiting list. I fell in love with that school from the moment I walked through the front doors, that I knew that that was going to be my home. Well, it wasn't a public school. It was a house. So it was a real kind of relaxed atmosphere. Being a house, the girls seemed to be relaxed. The teachers and counselors were welcoming at the beginning. So I just felt at home and at ease. Mm-hmm. And I knew right away that that's where I wanted to be. I think for the first time in my adolescence, or all my 14 years, I had adults that were asking me questions about me that were respectful and that they cared about me and were interested. So up until that point, my interactions with adults were really negative because I was a badass. You know, I was the kind of kid parents didn't like. Teachers didn't like in public school. I mean, there was the odd drama teacher that was different and could see that I was a good kid, but at GAP it was different. Those people, the teachers and counselors, just treated me like I was a human being for the first time ever. So that was really different. They listened. They didn't preach. Mm-hmm. They didn't judge. They just listened. Mm-hmm. And I think, and as time progressed, they listened to my stories, so they really understood, whereas other counselors in public school never understood the kind of family life that I was telling them that I had. The counselors and teachers really got it, that it wasn't great. So it was all about listening and respect.
I'm saying this work attracts people that do pay attention, are reflective, do strongly believe in making connections with people, and want to establish a community. And I think that's what we've done here. The babies have a voice, the moms have a voice, the staff have a voice. We all have a voice, and we share that voice, and we really are working together.
It takes time, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. I mean, part of the beauty of the program always is that it was extremely holistic. We looked at the whole kid, we dealt with the whole kid, and also everyone's program was different. They all come in at different levels of distress and instability. And for some, they might quite easily start to feel comfortable and relaxed and start to be able to think about things beyond food and shelter and who's been abusing them. But for others, it's a very long process.
From the beginning, they asked me about goals and what I wanted for myself, and like that was the first meeting, was sitting down with the group of staff members who were being very respectful and who seemed to genuinely care about what I wanted to get out of this process, what was important to me, and what I and gave you the message that things were going to be tailored around that, which was just so different from the whole system that I've been involved in. It was very much based on not only what I wanted to do, but what I needed academically and socially, and I was given a lot of communication skills. And there was so much group work that didn't take too long before I started to become a member and belong within this group of students, and to be supported by staff. And I had never felt respected by adults before like that they really genuinely were there to see me succeed. But it was more, they created the atmosphere where I could become part of this group, and the group, belonging in the group, that's what made the difference for the first time, feeling this connection with other people, and to feel respect from other people, but also a sense of that everybody else isn't perfect and doing well. They're struggling, and I can help support them with that. That may seem really basic, and now, to me, obviously, that's the way it is for other people. But then I didn't understand that, so it was a really big, a big deal to become part of the group and to feel like I belonged, and to make really strong friendships, and to be getting a lot of the life skills that I just hadn't gotten within my home.
With GAP, when we moved in with options, they always had a community meeting where the students contributed to the agenda, and it was everything from, people aren't washing their cups, which is always forever on the agenda. Any GAP student can come back and find out that the kitchen is still not being cleaned to whoever's standards, right? And I always have this theory too that, if we ever got to the point where everybody cleaned up after themselves, or, those daily things, that the world's problems would be solved.
One of the things that we really wanted was for the girls to learn, and this would be a common thing that would probably come back from other educators, is you want them to learn how to be responsible human beings. And our assessment at the time is, well, they're coming out of a system where they're not given any responsibility. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to give them responsibility. So that was a piece of that meeting. You become responsible for your peers, you become responsible for your own behavior, and what that looks like.
I think having that dynamic there of the mixed group was huge for all of us in teaching how to resolve problems, how to work together with people of different backgrounds, which is huge for any kind of like job skill education, like just living in society as a functioning person, right? I think that it felt good as a young mom to be able to look at someone else who is 2 birth controls away from making the same, I don't want to say mistake, because it was not a mistake, you know what I mean, but from being in the same situation that you were, which, is a phenomenally wonderful situation, but it might have been a little easier had you done it 2 years down the road, right? So to be able to influence them and kind of be their birth control, they were like, you guys are our birth control, because they would come, and it gave us a relief, because they would come and, they'd help us, and we were all friends, and they were like, oh, some of them would come over and be like, can I, we're gonna have supper together, but because they didn't have their own children, they would, play with my daughter while I was cooking, or, it just became such a support system, and learning how to support each other as women, regardless of our background.
Being strong, authentically empowered, capable women. So perhaps having a different role model than you might be used to. I think that's the primary purpose of this program. But it's pretty emotional heart work. It's not just intellectual work. And so it is a real challenge, and we are constantly figuring and juggling whose primary needs are in focus right now, or who are we serving. And so I think we talk a lot, we debrief a lot, we hope a lot, and we just do the best we can and try to be as supportive and loving and nurturing to the whole family as we can.
Comfortable, it was very safe. Every day was a learning experience. The knowledge was just continuous, and I felt supported, and I knew my daughter was very safe where she was, and my grades were really good, so it was just very safe.
We did all sorts of things. They would like link us up with different community resources, and we'd go for like a drop into the single parent resource center and stuff, and they'd say, well, this is because you get pamphlets and stuff, and you just kind of think, oh yeah, okay, that's nice, but or you see you don't know exactly where it is or whatever. So they took us all there on the bus, and we would go in and see what it was all about. And I took like a parenting class actually there during the daytime, and I got credit for it at the Single Parent Resource Center. There was a couple of us that went like for credit, and it was really great.
To those girls that were gappers, that like I think we probably we counted, we're like, we prevented 60 teen pregnancies today, and it was this ongoing joke, but it was true. We brought the reality home to them that this isn't a romantic, oh, your boyfriend's gonna love you forever because you have his baby, or or oh wow, you're gonna be in a bikini after you have a baby. Like the Lansdowne, there was at the school right there were some girls that were like, I want to have a baby, and I looked at them and I'm like, babies are great, but they're a lot of responsibility. And they were probably 11 or 12 or something, and they were like, no, I'm gonna have a baby because I think I could do it. And they just kind of started going on this oh my god, like Ricky Lake kind of episode. And I'm like, these are stretch marks. I just put my shirt. I'm like, these are stretch marks, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, you would not have known that, if you hadn't been in that kind of environment. But they were just devastated. And I'm like, well, and that was the girls at Gap. We got comfortable enough to share with them our stories of what it's like to have an abusive, horrible boyfriend at 14, and what I mean, what it's like to have to fight welfare when you're 16. You should not, 16 years old, you should not have to go to a welfare tribunal and fight for your right to even just exist and to go to school. That was disgusting. I had to fight to be able to go to school. It's do you have to argue your way to get to work in the morning? You know what I mean? And so for them to see the reality of, this is what it is to have they went out and they bought their birth control.
I learned a lot that I still use today and that I probably will always use for the rest of my life. Being at Gap helped me change who I am. It helped me find myself as a woman and know who I am. It helped me realize I got so many relationship skills that I probably would never have gotten if I didn't go there. And it helped me to set goals in life, to figure out what I want to do, and to know that I can do it and that I can do anything that I set my mind to.
I could be a really great woman in the ERC, representing Canada when I go to other countries, and I may save a whole bunch of lives, and that's because of the goals that I've set. And I've set the goals because I want to take care of my mom, and my mom she's been really great because she started off at options. That was her first step. It's kind of the building block. It might be hard to see the picture down the road, how it plays. But everyone kind of needs that initial step. And if a single mom that's really young has the option to graduate and have a daycare, then that's the first step too.